For 9 years, Olivia had dusted the CEO's desk without ever looking at the photograph, but tonight her hand moved toward the small silver frame as if it had its own will. She lifted the frame with both hands and angled it toward the city lights. The woman in the photograph wore a graduation cap and gown, a smile frozen from another decade.
That's Patricia. Oh God, that's Patricia. She walked out of our apartment at 17 and never came back. How is this here?
In the dark glass, her reflection stared back, mouth open, the frame shaking in her grip.
I've cleaned this desk for 9 years. 9 years. And I never once looked.
Olivia's eyes flooded. The tears came before she could blink them away. She couldn't put the photograph down. The past she had buried for 30 years had just clawed its way back. For 9 years, Olivia cleaned the executive floor and avoided looking at the CEO's single-framed photograph. She would dust the frame, straighten it, but always avert her eyes from the face inside.
I never look at photos. I haven't let myself since 1994.
That year, her older sister Patricia, just 17, walked out of their Birmingham apartment and disappeared. Patricia had hugged Olivia tight inside that apartment and said she'd send for them. Then she grabbed her bag and walked out.
She promised. For 30 years, that was all we had left. Not a letter, not a call.
The silence hardened into a wound she stopped noticing until tonight. She had buried the hope, stopped looking, stopped expecting anyone to come back.
But tonight I looked, and there she is, Patricia, smiling from a CEO's desk in Manhattan.
The impossibility of it punched through her chest. A photograph was supposed to be a memory, not a door to a 3-decade mystery.
I have to know why. I can't leave this room without an answer.
She set the frame back onto the desk with trembling fingers, the glass catching her own blurred reflection.
What if it's a coincidence? What if it's not even her? Just a stranger who looks like her.
But her hands didn't obey the false hope. They found a small notepad in the desk side drawer and a pen.
Just one question. I won't sign it. I won't say who I am. Just this.
She pressed the pen into the paper and wrote 5 words that would crack open a 30-year silence. Where is this woman?
This is a Fortune 100 CEO's desk. I am a cleaner. If she sees this, I could be fired. But Patricia, I can't let you go again.
She folded the note once, exactly in half, and tucked it under the keyboard's edge where it would be the first thing the CEO saw in the morning.
I just left proof. There's no taking it back now. Whatever door I opened, it's already swinging.
Olivia grabbed her cleaning cart and pushed it out of the office without looking back, her footsteps echoing in the empty hallway like a countdown.
30 years, Patricia. Where have you been all this time? And why does your photograph sit on the desk of a woman who isn't me?
At the end of the hallway, she turned back. The note sat inside like a lit fuse.
If she calls security, I lose everything. But silence means losing Patricia forever. No right move.
She paused at the window, city lights blurring through tears. Then she stepped into the elevator and let the doors close. 5 hours later, dawn slid across the Manhattan skyline and into the corner office, turning the glass tower gold. The desk was pristine. The silver frame stood at its usual angle. Under the keyboard, a folded note cast a tiny shadow, a scrap of notepad paper from a cleaner's cart, touching a keyboard worth more than a year of Olivia's salary. The security camera showed an empty room, but that slip of paper was louder than any alarm. The note waited like a question mark typed into a life sentence. Whoever answered would change everything. The cleaning crew had left. The floor fell silent, waiting for the one person who could not ignore a folded piece of paper. In less than an hour, the CEO would step inside and find the 5 words neither she nor Olivia could run from now. The CEO pushed open her door at 8:15, coat still on, coffee in hand. She set her cup down, then stopped. The desk was too neat. Something was off. The words, "Where is this woman?" hit her like a physical blow. She didn't need a name. Only one person in 40 floors would know to ask that question.
Someone in this building recognized the photograph. Someone from my past.
Her knees buckled, and she grabbed the desk edge, the note crumpling in her fist.
This is the day I prayed would never come. The day my two lives finally touch.
She stared at the photograph, her graduation portrait, the only piece of her old life she'd allowed herself.
I can't ignore this. But if I answer, I risk losing the life I've built.
She sank into her chair, the note pressed to her chest, and stared at the door, dreading the next step. She lifted the old graduation portrait from its spot and held it between her hands, the glass cold against her palms.
I used to dream someone would see this photo and come looking. Now, the dream is a hand around my throat.
The girl in the frame had no last name, no history, just a smile and a silent promise that somebody, somewhere, still waited. She set the frame down with a click and reached for the intercom, her hand moving before her mind could object.
Barbara, find out who cleaned my office last night. I need that person in here now.
Her assistant hesitated. The CEO's voice was thinner than she'd ever heard it.
Don't run, Stephanie. For once, finish what you started.
She pressed her thumb into the note until the paper bit back. In the building's basement, a phone rang in the cleaning supervisor's office. Olivia's name was pulled from the night log. Upstairs, the CEO sat motionless. The photograph watched her from the desk, and the note waited in her fist. Olivia was refilling spray bottles in the basement corridor when her supervisor found her, face tighter than she'd ever seen it.
They traced the note. It's already over.
The elevator ride to the top floor took 60 seconds. She counted everyone.
What am I supposed to do? A cleaner doesn't walk into a CEO's office and demand answers.
The executive corridor was all glass and silence, the kind of silence that makes a heartbeat sound like a countdown.
If I run, I lose my job. If I stay, I might lose something I haven't even let myself name.
She stopped at the corner office. The nameplate read, Stephanie Ellis, in brushed silver. Her palm was already damp.
Patricia would be 50 now. Same age as this woman. What if they knew each other?
She raised her hand, hesitated a half-second too long, then knocked twice.
Whatever door I opened last night, it's this one now.
The door swung inward, and the CEO looked up. Her eyes were redder than the morning should allow.
Sit down.
She smoothed the folded note flat on the desk, her manicured nail tracing the word "this."
Did you write this?
It's a trap. But the truth is the only weapon I've got. I wrote it. I clean this office every night. I've dusted that photograph 1,000 times. Last night I stopped and really saw it.
Oh, why did it take 9 years to look at a picture?
Because I've been afraid to look at photographs since 1994. The woman in that frame is my sister Patricia. She disappeared when I was a child.
The CEO's lips formed the name, soundlessly first. Then aloud, Patricia. She stood, the chair rolling back into the glass. The note clung to her fingers like a broken thing.
You know her, don't you? That photograph isn't just decoration. Who is she to you?
The note slipped from her fingers and hit the desk, no louder than a tear. But in the silence, it sounded like a door slamming.
Olivia, oh God, it's really you. After all these years, you are cleaning my office.
You know my name. You haven't asked a single security guard. You knew before I walked in.
Because I've been searching for you for 10 years. I hired 3 different agencies. Every time I got close, your name changed.
She pressed her fist against her mouth to hold back a sob that had been building since she was 17 years old.
Searching for me? Why would a CEO search for a cleaning woman unless...
Just say it, but if I say it, the board will crucify me. 30 years of lies can't be undone in one morning. I've kept that photograph on my desk for 30 years. The only face I was allowed to keep. The only piece of home my father didn't burn.
What do you mean? Who are you to Patricia? Why would your father burn my sister's picture?
My father came for me. Not for you, not for Mama. He offered me a future if I erased my past.
She sank to the floor as if the weight of the name buried her. She took Olivia's hands and pressed them against her own wet cheeks.
I am Patricia. I am your sister.
Olivia stared, her mind refusing to accept the words that her heart already knew.
Patricia left Birmingham 30 years ago. She didn't become a CEO in Manhattan. She didn't hide in plain sight.
I hid from everyone, but I couldn't hide from you anymore. I kept that picture so one day someone would ask.
Her hands feel like Mama's. The world is tilting sideways.
I've been Stephanie Ellis for 3 decades, but on that desk, I am still just the girl who promised to send for you.
The note lay on the desk between them, its question finally answered.
Patricia died the day she walked out and never sent for me. You are not her.
Livy, look at me. It's me. I am not lying.
The childhood name froze her like a hand on her throat. Nobody had called her Livy since 1994.
Only Trisha called me Livy. Not Mama. Not anyone. How does she know? If you are really Patricia, what did you say the last night you tucked me in?
I told you to keep your light on so I could find my way back. And I kissed your left ear because you missed Brownie.
The world dissolved. That sentence was buried so deep, only a sister could dig it up.
It's her. She remembered Brownie. Nobody else knew about that teddy bear. Why then? Why did you never find your way back before tonight? You could have found me any time.
I was terrified you'd never forgive me, and I was right. All these years and I still can't breathe around you. We had different fathers. Yours stayed. Mine came back for me the spring I turned 17.
A black Lincoln pulled up to the curb. The driver was a man Olivia had never met.
He told me he had a new family across town, a business, money. College was waiting, but I had to come alone. He said if I ever contacted you or Mama, it all disappeared. College, the job, the name, everything.
A trade-off forced on a 17-year-old. She packed a bag while the neighborhood slept. Inside the apartment, 7-year-old Olivia clutched a teddy bear and watched her sister's lamp stay on all night.
You were still sleeping. I kissed your ear one last time, then I walked out. That was the last time I felt like a human being.
She buried the name Patricia in a file cabinet. Her father's new wife demanded she take her own surname.
You didn't even send word. 30 years. Why not break the deal when you became the one in charge?
Because the deal wasn't just a paper. It was a cage. By the time I had the keys, I didn't know how to leave it. Stephanie Ellis was a costume. I wore it so well I forgot there was anyone underneath.
In her penthouse, she kept the photograph on a nightstand, the only thing that belonged to her.
My father approved every friend, every date. He said my old life would taint his new one.
So you kept the photo as a rebellion? A secret password to your own past?
It was the one thing he let me keep because he didn't know it meant anything. To him, it was just a picture.
The photograph became a ghost she fed every morning. Dust, straighten, exist.
I thought if I kept it visible, one day someone would recognize it and the cage would break. And then you did.
I thought this was just a CEO's decoration. But it was a signal you were broadcasting for 30 years.
Olivia looked at the frame with new eyes, seeing not a portrait but a lifeboat.
You were never free, Trisha. You were just locked in a nicer room.
I hired the first agency 10 years ago. They found a marriage certificate for Olivia Benson. Then the trail went cold.
Olivia Benson was my first married name. The agency wouldn't have thought to search for me under Grant.
The folder in Patricia's hands was thick with photocopied forms and crossed-out leads.
Second agency found a lease under Olivia Grant. I paid them double to search faster. They still lost you.
That was Frank. He was good to me. After he passed, I never changed the name back.
Olivia flipped through pages of her own life, gathered by strangers who'd never reach her.
The last agency found your mother's death certificate 8 years ago. That's when I knew I was running out of time.
You were 2 steps behind me the whole time, but I never felt a single breath. I thought I'd been erased.
The anger she'd nursed all morning softened into something quieter. She had been hunted not as prey, but as treasure.
You really never gave up, did you? All that money spent searching for a cleaning lady.
I'd have spent every cent I had, but the money never found you, only your ghost.
Did Mama know? All those years she cried for you, did she know you were alive?
She never knew. I couldn't risk my father finding out, but I paid for her dialysis, every session.
You paid those bills? The ones I worked double shifts to cover? It came from you?
A blind trust. Anonymous donations. I couldn't even sign my own name.
She used to say a blessing had found her. It was you the whole time.
I couldn't hold her hand when she died. I had to watch from across the country. That's what hollowed me out.
She died thinking you walked out and never looked back. You let her carry that lie to her grave.
I chose the lie because without it, the money stopped. Without the money, she died sooner. What would you have done?
They sat on the floor, 2 middle-aged women, the file of searches spread between them like a map to an old wound, both asking the same question with their silence.
You've been CEO for years. Why didn't you just call me?
Patricia stared at her lap. The question she had dreaded for decades landed softer than she deserved.
I was afraid you'd slam the door in my face. The same way you did when I said I am Patricia.
I didn't slam the door. I just couldn't believe you were real.
I've imagined this moment 1,000 times. Every version ended with you walking away.
The silence between them was the weight of 30 years, and then Olivia broke it with her hand.
I don't hate you, Trisha. I missed you. Every single day.
She pulled her sister forward, and they held on like a shipwreck, like 2 people who'd been drowning separately and finally found the same shore.
She's real. She's here. I am not dreaming.
In that corner office, they cried for 90 minutes, the city roaring quietly beneath them, the old photograph watching from the desk like a promise kept.
I can't keep being Stephanie Ellis. It was a lie I wore so long. It became a second skin.
She traced the edge of the photograph with her finger.
My father's dead now. The conditions don't hold. I want to tear down the wall he built.
What do you mean?
I want to start a foundation. Help families split apart by the same system that split us.
She leaned forward, her voice stronger than Olivia had heard all morning.
I want you to run it, Livy. You know the cost of waiting 30 years for someone you love.
She's offering me a life I never imagined. I'd be more than a cleaner. Trisha, I clean offices. I don't run foundations.
Patricia took her hand and didn't let go, waiting for Olivia to see the door she was holding open. After Olivia said, "Together," Patricia didn't wait. She called an emergency board meeting.
I've led this firm for over a decade under a name that wasn't mine. I resign, effective immediately.
The boardroom erupted. Patricia didn't flinch. She signed the final document. With one signature, the name Stephanie Ellis began to dissolve from every letterhead and contract. 3 months later, a modest storefront in Midtown opened as the Coming Home Foundation. On her new desk, Olivia placed the silver frame. The photograph now had a place on a director's desk. Beside it, the original note was now framed, with a single word added beneath: "Found." The foundation launch was set for Friday. Olivia wore a new blazer Patricia had insisted on buying. They stood together, looking at the photograph that started it all. The city at their feet. The past was finally behind them. The door Olivia had opened with 5 words had led them both home, the event hall filled with families, lawyers, and journalists. At the center, a banner read, "Coming Home," in gold letters.
For 30 years, I waited for one phone call. Today, we're making those calls possible.
The room quieted. Patricia watched from the front row, her eyes wet.
This is Miss Loretta. Her son Nicholas was taken by a father who promised to return him and never did. That was 1997.
A woman in her 70s stepped forward, clutching a worn school picture. The same kind of silence Olivia had carried for decades.
The Coming Home Foundation will fund the search for Nicholas. Every resource we have is now hers.
$100,000. Access to legal teams. And the first case file in Olivia's new office. Loretta sobbed into Olivia's shoulder. The 30-year gap between them collapsed by a sisterhood of waiting. The sisters locked eyes across the room. No words, just the confirmation that this was what the note had always been for. The search was beginning. The door Olivia had opened was finally large enough for others to walk through. Within 6 months, the Foundation's phone rang with stories from 18 different states. At an airport gate, a mother collapsed into the arms of a son she hadn't seen since 1992.
You were 6 when he took you. Do you remember the garden behind your grandmother's house?
Patricia signed the first 100 checks without hesitating. The money that had built her cage was now breaking others open.
Every file on this desk used to be someone else's silence. Now it's a doorway.
The original note stayed framed beside the photograph. A monument to the day a cleaner asked a question that unraveled a lifetime of secrets. Olivia stopped counting the hours. She started counting the reunions.
The board still calls me Stephanie. I correct them every time. My name is Patricia, and my sister runs our legacy.
Together, the sisters who lost 30 years had become the compass for others still searching. On Olivia's desk, the photograph and the note sat as witnesses. The question had been answered, but the work had only begun. They left the Foundation office as the streetlights began their evening glow. Patricia slipped her arm through Olivia's. Neither needed words.
30 years behind us. This one step was worth the wait.
They stopped at the river's edge, looking back at the tower where it all began.
I used to stare at that building and wonder if you were even alive.
I cleaned your desk. I had no idea I was cleaning my own sister's cage.
Patricia pulled Olivia closer. The silence was no longer a wound, but a bridge that had always been there. From her bag, Patricia slipped out the old graduation portrait. It caught the last light. They stood together. The photograph between them, the city fading into gold. The question had been answered. The photograph had found its way home. In the Foundation's main office, a small shelf held only 2 framed objects. On the left, the graduation portrait of a 17-year-old who disappeared in 1994. On the right, the original note. Where is this woman? Faded but never forgotten. Beneath those 5 words, in Patricia's handwriting, a single answer. Found. The frame that once trapped her identity now guarded the proof of her survival. Years would pass, but the note and the photograph would stay. A cleaner's question had become a family's compass. The shelf became the first thing visitors saw when they walked through the door. A reminder that every missing person is missing to someone who is still asking, and that silence doesn't last forever. Sometimes it just takes 30 years to find its voice.